Welcome to How to Lose 10 Kilos in Just 8 Weeks. I'm Jason Grossman, and for those that don't know me, a little bit about myself. I've actually been in the health and fitness industry and a personal trainer for almost 14 years, and in the first 10 years I had the opportunity to work with over 5,000 individuals face-to-face to achieve their weight loss and muscle gain goals. And over the last 4 years we've worked predominantly with personal trainers and coaching personal trainers across the globe. And we've also had the opportunity to build one of Australia's largest online personal training businesses with almost 30 online personal trainers. And we still work with people across the globe with weight loss, nutrition, meal plans, fitness plans, and more importantly, and more powerfully, the psychology and mindset. So if you stick with me over the next 50 minutes to an hour, I'm going to share with you a step-by-step process, as much as you can in an hour, about the 3 vitality pillars and how you can step-by-step lose 10 kilos in 8 weeks. I understand that there's 2 main types of people listening to me right now, whether you're listening to this live or as a recording. The first type of person is a person that actually is listening because you would like to lose 10 kilos or more. If that is you, can you just click on raising your hand if you're listening to this live now, so I know that we are speaking to you and I can make it relevant to you across the board over the next hour. Who listening to me right now would like to lose 10 kilos or more? Okay, great. A fair few of you guys. Well, you're in the right place. I'm going to share with you some specific strategies and tools and resources you can begin to use to take that step. But before you take that step, there's another important ingredient which you require, which you need, which is motivation. So we're going to talk a little bit about motivation and how to motivate yourself to get not just results, but long-lasting results. And also, we're going to give you some specific strategies. Again, 1 hour is not a heck of a lot of time to go through. You could create a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and for personal trainers, an 8-week course out of this. So I'll do my best to give you as much value and some specific strategies you can begin to use with ease if you choose to after this webinar. The second type of person is a person listening to me who's actually a personal trainer, online personal trainer, or somebody that assists people to lose weight. If that's you, can you just click on raising your hand for me so I know I'm speaking with you and to you across the board next hour. Great. So obviously I've designed and developed this evening's webinar in such a way that there will be relevant information for both coaches, online personal trainers, and those of you that actually want to lose 10 plus kilos. And I notice some of those of you that raised your hand both times, which is really interesting. And you know what? Sometimes that happens as a personal trainer. Here's a photo of me. A few years ago, I was running a business in Perth, Western Australia, and I let myself get out of shape. On the left-hand side here, I let myself get to 118 kilos. 118 kilos. You can tell it's not all muscle. Far from it. And it wasn't until I had my brother take a photo of me from behind and show me it that I realized actually how bad that I'd let myself go. I was so focused on my business and so focused with helping other people achieve a happier, healthier life that I subordinated my own health. I think parents, by show of hands, who is a parent that's listening right now? Who are your parents out there, mums and dads? I think you guys can probably relate to this because it's really easy to put our family or our kids first. But this is the thing. Have you ever been on a plane? The plane's about to take off. You're about to take off a flight. Before it takes off, the cabin crew, they go through the safety precautions, the procedures. What is the first thing the cabin crew invite you to do if the oxygen mask were to drop? The first thing that they ask you to do is what? Is to make sure you put your own oxygen mask on first, then help your children. Because if we go to help our children and we don't make it in time, then we both die. We both don't make it. So sometimes in order to help others, we need to help ourselves first. And I truly believe that. I think it's a great metaphor, especially for you parents. So sometimes things happen in our life where we subordinate our health. I believe there's 5 main areas: health, relationships, finances, spirituality, and mindset. And then we have values, and depending on what we value most in our life, will normally determine where our main focus goes. If our number 1 value in our life right now is our health, we're probably going to spend a lot of time on our nutrition and exercise and mindset. If our number 1 value, the most important thing in our life right now is our family, then we're going to put them first and we're going to focus on that. So that's what happened. I subordinated my own health to my own business, my staff, and clients and customers. And I ended up on the left-hand side here being 118 kilos. So what happened is I decided, this only a couple of years ago, and it was a little bit hard for me to post this photo in the beginning because here I was meant to be a fitness expert, personal trainer for over a decade, and let's call it what it was. I was fat. I was overweight. Yeah. And no, well, let's rephrase it. I wasn't fat. I had excess body fat. Right. So I had excess body fat and way too much for somebody that helped people get into shape. So I went and I started a journey, and that's the journey that I'm going to share with you now about the journey that I went upon. And you can see here, using this journey, what I'm going to start to share with you this evening, and what we're here tonight for, is I'm going to share with you how, in fact, I lost 27 kilos in 26 weeks. 27 kilos in 26 weeks. For those of you in Europe or UK, the pound conversion, you can probably work that out. It's a heck of a lot of weight. So who would like to hear that story and how I lost 27 kilos in 26 weeks and how you can apply the strategies yourself? Who would like to hear that? Nobody. Okay, here we go. Okay, so moving on. So just a little bit about the next hour. Like I said, we're going to talk about the vitality pillars, and we're going to talk about different elements. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the journey. And for those of you that want to embark upon that journey to lose that weight, the steps that you need to take. And there's two focuses additional to that, which are motivation. We're going to focus a lot on motivation. But if you take an idiot and you motivate the idiot, what are you left with? Yeah, a motivated idiot. So it's good to be motivated, but we need more than that. We need specific strategy, and I'm going to share that with you this evening. So you're going to get a true essence of some motivation this evening, some inspiration, and also some specific strategy. But this will just be the starting point. My intention for this evening, for this webinar, is to motivate and inspire you to embark upon the journey, which is what I'm sharing with you over the next 50 minutes or so, which is a journey, a step-by-step journey that you must embark upon to cross all your T's, dot all your I's, and ensure that you do whatever it takes until you lose the 10 kilos. Or if you're a coach, you do whatever it takes until your clients lose that 10 kilos or 20 kilos, whatever is the weight they want to lose. So by a show of hands, who is serious, those of you that want to lose 10 or plus kilos, about losing that weight? And those of you that are coaches, who is serious about becoming even better, more results focused at helping clients lose 10, 20 kilos weight? Who would like to do that? By a show of hands, who's serious tonight? Awesome. I believe you. Let me ask you a question before we get into this. Is it really about the weight loss? Is it really about the weight that you lose on the scales? Really? Or is it about what it means for you to lose that weight? Or if you're a coach, is it what it means for your client to lose that weight? We get so caught up on the measuring stick that we use to determine success along a journey or getting into shape, especially if we have excess body fat, which is measurements, weigh-ins, skin folds, yeah, those kind of tests. But it's not really about those, is it? We use it simply as a measuring stick to determine progress. But if we get caught up on that, we get stuck on that, we're never going to truly be happy. It's not about losing 10 or 20 kilos for those who want to lose 10 or 20 kilos. It's what it means for you to live 10 or 20 years longer if you do what's necessary to take the action and lose that weight. It's what it means for you. It's what it means for you and your family about the new habits you're going to create, the values, the beliefs that are going to form, not just at the conscious but at the unconscious, and how it's going to have a ripple effect, and you're going to share them with your children. And your children are going to grow up. Because those of you that have children, where do they get their values from? Where do they get their beliefs from? 90% of our beliefs are formed before the age of 8, during the critical period. And children are highly suggestible, where the brainwave levels spend most of the time in theta level. So it's really important that we understand the deeper reason for weight loss. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to really get you thinking about the deep core reasons why you want to lose the weight. But by show of hands, those that want to lose the weight, who has lost weight but put it back on before, or gone through that yo-yo dieting or that yo-yo weight loss up and down process? By show of hands, who's actually gone through that before? I'm going to share with you exactly why that is this evening, and also how to avoid that ever happening again. Okay. Question. Who, by a show of hands, would like to burn more fat while you're sleeping? By a show of hands. Come on, everyone, raise your hands, raise your hands. Who wants to burn more fat while you're sleeping? Of course, right? Is it really about how many times a week you're training at the gym? Is it really, or is it about what you're doing outside of the gym, outside of the exercise? Is it about what you're eating, how often you're eating, combination of foods, the frequency, and more importantly, the thoughts you think. And we're going to talk a little bit about the psychology of nutrition and weight loss a little bit this evening as well. If you guys have a pen and paper, I'm going to strongly suggest that each and every one of you grab pen and paper. You're going to need a pen and paper for a couple of questions I'm going to ask and a couple of exercises we're going to do. I'd like to make it just a little bit interactive because tonight's not about me. Tonight is about you. And again, there's two main types of people I understand listening to me right now. Coaches that want to improve their ability at getting results for your clients, and those of you that actually want to lose 10, 20 plus kilos. So I'm going to share with you, in my experience over the last 14 years, what I believe to be the most powerful tools to do that. So the way we burn more fat while we're sleeping is obviously increase our metabolic rate. And a metabolic rate is normally determined by our 7 big hormones. And we're actually going to touch on the truth a little bit about hormones this evening. In fact, I'm going to give you 2 webinars, 2 video recordings you can find on YouTube that you can go and watch after this evening, which will give you a lot more clarity and deeper understanding of what this evening is about. The first one, please write this down. You might think, I'm going to write it down. Jason doesn't know if I'm writing it down or not. Right, I don't know, but you know. If you're here for a reason, so you may as well contribute and participate, not for me, but for you. So grab that pen and paper and write the first one down. Online personal trainers, coaches, everyone write this down. The first one is the 7 laws to weight loss. The 7 laws to weight loss can also be found on YouTube as the 7 laws to body transformation. That's about the psychology of weight loss and the psychology of nutrition. I really think it looks at it from a neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, quantum physics. It looks at it from a psychological perspective. I think you guys will really enjoy that. The other one is actually called How to Burn More Fat While You Sleep. How to Burn More Fat While You Sleep, which is, we talk about the 7 big hormones and how to influence your 7 big hormones in a way where you can burn more fat while you sleep. And we do that through the 3 vitality pillars. So the first one, 7 laws to body transformation, or 7 laws to weight loss. Second one, burn more fat while you're sleeping. And those 2 go hand in hand with this third one. If you watch all 3, you're going to have a much deeper understanding of your own mind and weight loss. So I could sit here and give you strategies, a step-by-step process, pragmatic, linear, easy to follow, simple to follow, that guarantees your success, but does that mean and guarantee you're going to go off and apply it? Whatever I share with you this evening will not guarantee your results. Whatever I share with you, any tools, any strategies I give you, not just tonight but any time, will not guarantee your results. Coaching, personal training, business coaching, any information, any books you read, any audios, any plan you follow does not guarantee your results. What guarantees your results is the application. The application to taking not just action, but massive action to sticking to that plan and doing whatever is necessary. So before we talk about strategy, we need to talk a little bit about motivation. We need to wake up and be motivated to take action, to do whatever's necessary, to train, to eat right, to think right, and align our psychology so that way we can achieve the body composition that we want, not just to look good, but to feel great, to live longer, and to share those values and habits with our family. So let's talk a little bit about motivation. Everything we do is to move towards pleasure or away from pain. Move towards pleasure or away from pain. Everything you do. Whether you want more money, whether you want to lose weight, everything we do at the end of the day, if we get to the crux of it and we look at the unconscious why, is because we want to feel better or we want to avoid feeling bad. We want to avoid feeling worse. And we can establish in any given context whether somebody is focused on toward motivation or away motivation. Now, toward motivation is quite simple. You're motivated by, like if I ask you, each and every one of you guys, why is it important for you to lose weight? And you said something like, I want to look good. That is focused on moving towards a positive goal. So it would be toward motivation. And that's great. But if I said, well, I want to stop feeling fat or I want to stop feeling unhealthy, that is away motivation because you're focusing on thinking about what you don't want. Now, have you ever got inconsistent results, not just in weight loss, but in any area of your life? That is because you're using away motivation. The best way I can describe it is in a metaphor. Imagine you have a toddler that is not yet walking but can crawl. And, the dad's in the kitchen cooking, the mum's setting the table, and dad comes out of the kitchen to kiss mum and say thanks for setting the table. And the toddler crawls into the kitchen. and puts his hands on the hot oven. And what happens? What does the toddler do? Moves his hand away from the oven, but only far enough until what? He no longer feels the heat or the pain. There might be some after, some pain and feeling straight after. But then what does he do? What do humans normally do? We've experienced first time, we're humans. We go, oh, let me just make sure and touch it again. So what happens is you touch the hot plate, you move your hand away. You touch the hot plate, and you get these inconsistent results. Then what happens is only when the child turns around, faces the parents, and crawls towards the parents, will he no longer have that experience again. That creates a trigger and an anchor to know that to touch the oven equals pain, because there's been several experiences. We need these stacking experiences, and it creates a trigger. First experience of heat. Just like a baby, for the first time, if it hasn't experienced falling or pain or falling before, will probably continue to crawl all the way up the couch off the end, because it has no references. So what my point is here is that the problem is, only when, hands up by those that want to lose 10 kilos more, by show of hands. Only when the pain of your current lifestyle becomes greater than the journey that you must embark upon to lose that weight, only when that pain is greater, where you are now, than the pain of the journey, will you do whatever is necessary to take that action. So I want to ask you guys a question. Why do you want to lose the weight? Or why do you want to help people lose the weight? Perhaps write that down. So the problem is that if we focus just towards motivation, we lose motivation. We get the enthusiasm curve. So if you say, well, I want to lose weight because I want to look good, it's not really that exciting, but it's a good start. You're going to focus on that, but you're focusing on the positive, focus on that, and it's not powerful enough. It's not enticing enough, and you're not going to stick to it. So the best way to get motivated initially is away motivation. To take the first step as away motivation. To become so, excuse my language, pissed off, to become so upset with the situation that you're currently in, so disturbed that you must do something about it, that you can no longer live and breathe in that current situation, will you move away from that? I cannot stand this anymore. I cannot stand this relationship anymore. I cannot stand being broke anymore. I cannot stand getting up every morning and looking at myself in the mirror and feeling depressed. Only when that happens will you take that first step. This is the problem. That's the most powerful first step in motivation, in any context. But because that's your first step, and people do that, you believe in your mind unconsciously that that's what works. That's how I got motivated in the beginning. So you keep moving further and further back, looking at what you don't want, focusing on what you don't want. And then you get these inconsistent results in life. Let's say you have a woman who she has a thermostat, a weight thermostat, that when she hits 80 kilos, she freaks out. She hits 80 kilos, what does she do? Boom, trigger. She goes to the gym, she starts dieting, and over 3, 4, 5, 6 months, she drops back to 60 kilos, her safe weight, her low thermostat. Okay, she gets in the comfort zone, she stops that, and then over time, she puts on the weight, and she's 60, 80, 60, 80, 60, 80. So only when you want to take that first step away, but then you want to turn around and focus on what you do want. So yes, focus on your first step to move away from what you don't want. Become so disturbed that you cannot handle being in your current situation in your life, in any context, that you take that first step, move back and away from that, but then you need to turn around and focus moving towards what you want. And because that first step was so powerful, it will launch you into a new stratosphere of motivation and inspire you to take action on a regular basis, so much more powerfully than just focusing on toward right from the beginning. So let me ask a couple of questions. If you're not feeling more motivated already, I would be surprised. Everybody grab your pen and paper. Pick up your pen. Get your pen. It's in your hand. Yes, Jason. Awesome. Get your pen. I want to ask a question. Write down, now if you're a coach, it's going to be a slightly different question. For those of you that want to lose 10 kilos or more, I want to ask you a question. I want you to write this down on a piece of paper. Why is it so important? Why is it so important for you to lose that weight? Why is it so important for you to lose that weight? Please take the next 5, 10 seconds to write that down. As you guys that want to lose weight are writing that down, coaches, why is it so important for you to help people get into shape and achieve their ideal body? By the way, as you guys write that, is losing weight toward motivated or away motivated? If someone wants to lose weight, are they focusing on what they want or they don't want? Focusing on what they don't want. See the problem with that? That's why you want to focus on the positives. You want to focus on what you do want. So if your goal is to lose 10 kilos, lose 10 kilos, lose 10 kilos, you want to start with that. Yes, I want to lose 10 kilos. But then you might set targets. So if you're 100 kilos, you go, I want to lose 10 kilos, I want to hit 90. You're going to do a weigh-in every month. Your focus is to get to, say, lose 2.5 kilos a month. Your goal is 97.5. Then your goal is 95. And then you're using a positive focus after that first step. Does that make sense, guys? Does it make sense, babe?
It makes sense.
And if it makes sense, it makes dollars, they say. So why is it so important to you? Next question. I hope you wrote that down, because if you didn't write that down, you're going to miss out on a great opportunity here to understand a bit more how to motivate yourself. Next question. Please write the answer to this one under that. What would it really mean for you? What would it really mean for you to lose that weight? What would it really mean for you personally to lose that weight? Coaches, personal trainers, what would it really mean for you to be able to help more people more effectively achieve their health results and lose weight? What would that really mean for you? Please write that down, everybody. Take the time to write that down. I'm not going to write it down. Jason won't know. Another question. Now that you've written down what that will truly mean for you, what will that really mean for you? What will that really mean for you? Whatever you just wrote that will mean for you, what will that truly mean for you? We want to get something that's really valuable, that's so important to you, like happiness, freedom, everything, the world, the universe. Something that's high up, high up. A question. On a scale of 1 to 10, next question, please write this down. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most important, how important is it that you lose the 10 kilos? Or for coaches, how important is it that you can help every single person that's prepared to take action to lose their weight or achieve their health and fitness goals they want to achieve? Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most important, how important is it that you achieve that goal and make that meaning become a reality? How important is that? By show of hands, who's written down a 10? By a show of hands, who's written down a 10? Now, if you haven't written a 10, only when you give it a 10 out of 10 will you be prepared to do whatever it takes until you achieve the goal or outcome you want to achieve. If you've given it an 8 or a 9, my question to you is this. Really? Just an 8? Just a 9? Really? Giving it a 10 out of 10 doesn't make it equally as important as something else that's a 10 out of 10 in your life, like your family or something else. It's what are you prepared to do? Wouldn't you agree that only when you give something a 10 out of 10 you're prepared to do what it takes? So by a show of hands, who's prepared to give it a 10 out of 10? If you haven't yet given a 10, my question to you is what do you need to do right now to give that a 10 out of 10? To lose that weight and achieve that meaning, or to help others lose that weight and achieve that fulfillment of sensation of helping them lose weight? By show of hands, everyone, please let me know who's giving that a 10 out of 10 by show of hands. My question to the people that actually want to lose the weight, those of you that want to lose 10 kilos or more right now, if you keep doing what you have been doing up until now, do you think you're guaranteed to lose the weight? If you keep doing what you have been doing up until now, do you think you're guaranteed to lose the weight? I'm going to suggest it's probably a no, correct? So we need to make some changes. Now, coaches, these are great questions to ask your clients before you just start getting in and talking about the results and training and smashing and giving meal plans or whatever. We need to get to the crux of this to find out why it's so important. First step is we need to find out why you want what you want, because that's what's really going to motivate. The key to motivating, the fuel for the fire that motivates us to take the action and build the momentum necessary to achieve the goals and outcomes we want that our heart most desire. The fuel for that fire is our why. We need to focus on that every single day. So why is it so important? My last question to you is how would having someone keep you accountable to sticking to the process, the plan, would help make it easier and guarantee that it will happen for you? That's my last question for that. So now we've spoken a little bit about motivation. Let's move forward. The first step in any kind of conscious change is awareness. You're aware of, well, you know, I want change. I want to lose the 10 kilos. I want X, Y, Z. I want to achieve this. So you become aware of that. And then we need to become clear on what the why is, manifest that, intensify, magnify the why, and that's going to fuel the fire and cause us to feel the motivation required, build that momentum and take the action. So once we know our why, magnified and intensified our why, the second step, if you want to write this down on a separate piece of paper, maybe write it down. First step, get clear on your why. The why you want what you want. Second step is to get clear on your outcomes. Get clear on your outcomes. We can call them goals, but let me ask you a question. Do we always achieve our goals? Do goals always happen? No. But what does always happen is an outcome. Now, sometimes they're not the outcomes we want, but we always do get outcomes. So we want to get clear on our outcomes. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And I know I'm asking you a few questions, and you probably just want some strategy and some information here. But again, I can offload some really cool information for you. But if you're not in the right mindset, if you're not motivated, if you're not excited to hear it, then you're not going to utilize it anyway. It's going to be wasted. So please write this down. For those of you that want to lose weight, please answer these by writing down. For those of you that are coaches, these are great questions to ask your clients as well, before you start even talking about nutrition and fitness. So what results specifically do you want to achieve? So is it to lose 10 kilos? Is it to lose 20 kilos? Is it to be a certain clothing size? Please write down exactly what you want and exactly the weight. You don't want to write this, I want to lose 15 to 20 kilos, because that's a continuum. Use a hyphen to create a continuum to avoid the big C word, especially for the men. Ooh, commitment. Once we choose a finite number, that's it, we're committed. We've selected a target, we have a finite, clear target that we can shoot towards, create a plan to make it happen. So what exactly do you want to achieve? Next question is where? Next question is where do you want to achieve it? So if you said I want to lose weight, or I want to shrink, I want to tone, or where? Which body parts? More importantly, what is the number one priority? Which part of your body do you want to change the most? Please write down your number one body part you'd like to change the most. For women, it's normally butt and thighs. For men, it's normally chest and arms. Yeah, but it's different for every person. Next question is why. Oh, sorry, no, next question is when. When exactly, with a date, do you want to achieve it by? So if you want to lose 10 kilos, my suggestion is to look at the calendar and find 8 weeks from, say, next Monday, and that would be your selection. So you need to select an exact goal, an exact outcome, exact body parts, your priority, an exact date. We're getting clear on our targets here. We're getting clear on our outcomes. Next question is why. Why do you want to achieve it by then? Sometimes you hear things like this as personal trainers. I want to lose 20 kilos in 6 months because I'm getting married, and my number one focus is my butt. I want my butt to look good. Okay. So once we've got those targets, we can get clear, and we can move to the third step, which is to create a plan. Now again, I can't give you everything this evening, but I can give you some starting points, a place to start. So we want to create a plan. And there's 3 types of plans, and we're going to talk about them over the next 30 minutes. We're going to go for about another 30 minutes. So we want to create a plan. First step, determine your why, manifest, intensify your why. Second step, get clear on your outcomes. Third step, create a plan. I know some of you might be thinking, Jason, just get to nutrition, get to the fitness, give me some strategy. But again, if you're not motivated, if you're not clear, if you don't know what you want, you don't have a plan, none of that's really going to matter. If you're listening to me right now, you've lost weight just to put it back on again, maybe a couple of times, it's because this stuff was not done properly. Abraham Lincoln used to say if he had 6 hours to cut down a tree, he would spend 4 hours sharpening his axe. Makes sense. 2 hours cutting down his tree. Man over 50 meters away starts right away with a blunt axe, chopping like mad. Abraham Lincoln starts 4 hours later, effortlessly within 2 hours, a third amount of time. Chops down the tree much more effortlessly, faster, and productively. We need to sharpen your axe. Before we get into the juicy goodness here, what we like to do is, when we do this, is I like to create affirmations. So what we do in our program is we create affirmations, okay, we create visual anchors, and we create a morning ritual. So for example, my morning ritual is to get up and listen to 30 minutes of motivation, personal development, go to the gym for an hour, come back and make a green smoothie. By starting your day with affirmations, which I normally do in the shower, do gratitude exercise and affirmations in the shower, a visual anchor, so it could be a picture or a photo of someone that you aspire to look like, or something maybe more deeper and meaningful. You can use your affirmations as visual anchors as well, and your morning rituals. You'll notice in there I've got fitness, nutrition, and mindset every morning. And in the programs and our online personal trainers, everything we do, we help you set up affirmations, visual anchors, and morning rituals. So let's talk about the 3 vitality pillars. If you want to burn more fat while you're sleeping, the key to doing that is to learn how to manipulate your 7 big hormones, because your body composition is determined ultimately by the 7 big hormones. And I'm going to talk a little bit about those this evening. Again, I'm just going to brush on nutrition and fitness here and hormones and a few other things. And if you go off and watch those 2 other webinars or videos over the next week or 2, they'll give you a lot more clarity specifically on what we've touched on this evening. So the 3 vitality pillars, we use them in Quantum Vitality. Quantum Vitality is the name of our company. Quantum Online Personal Training is one of our businesses. And Quantum Fitness Marketing is the other. Some of you guys know that. The 3 vitality pillars are the 3 areas that influence hormone production the most. Let's look at them. The first one is fitness. Now, personal trainers, what is their main focus? They're known as fitness experts, fitness trainers. Their number 1 focus is fitness, is exercise. How many times a week would you exercise? 3, 4, 5, 6, right? But some of you might have heard abs are made where? Abs are made in the kitchen. Hands up, those of you who are coaches and personal trainers that believe nutrition is more important for hormone optimization and body composition than fitness or training. Who believes that? For sure. How many times a week would you train? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? How many times a week do you eat? Anywhere from 20, 40, 60, 70, 80 a week. Because there's more variables to, dare I say it, screw up, right? There's more variables. So the way we train will influence certain hormones. We're going to talk about them. What we eat will influence certain hormones. And most importantly, even more important than nutrition and fitness, I could give each and every one of you a world-class meal plan. I could give each and every one of you a world-class fitness plan. But if we have self-sabotaging habits, limiting beliefs, incongruent values, or fears and doubts stopping us, we will create self-sabotage. And for a lot of you that have gone through yo-yo results in the past, or those of you that are coaches or personal trainers that have people that don't stick to things or gone through yo-yo results, this is the foundation for guaranteeing long-term generative change. If you try to create long-term generative change through changing action and behavior, you will get short-term results. Because the motivation at the beginning is never the same as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the track, and action is determined by motivation. Whereas if you help people change their beliefs and realign their values, they will change and raise their standards, and they will change their behaviors, their habits, forever. So, the truth about hormones, we're going to talk about those. So, when we think, it emits an energy signature, and that energy signature literally alters the molecular structure of every cell in our body and our surroundings. It's basic quantum physics. There's a documentary, What the Bleep Do We Know? Has anyone seen What the Bleep Do We Know? Some of you might have seen it. It's a really cool docu. If you want to write it down, Basics of Quantum Physics. There's a Dr. Emoto. He's a Japanese guy, and he was the one that proved this scientifically. I'm not going to get into the details of it. But also, not only the way we train and our fitness and our exercise does it influence our hormones. More importantly, how we eat, the frequency, the combination, the amount influences our hormones. But what we think and the way we think, which lead to the way we feel and our emotions, will influence our hormones more than anything else. And I'm going to share that with you and explain that shortly. So let's talk about the first pillar, the most important pillar, which is taking your mental vitamins, becoming an athlete of the mind. As we've discovered that we could give you the best meal plan and the best fitness plan in the world, but if you don't align your psychology through these 4 main areas, habits, beliefs, values, and fears, then you will fail long term. And those of you that have got results in the past or had yo-yo results, it's because of not just the towards and away motivation, but because there's self-sabotage habits, there's limiting beliefs, incongruent values, and fears or doubts. Now, these might be taking place at the unconscious. So in everything we do, our 8-week Body Blitz program, our 7-day Raw Detox program, online personal training, everything we do, I spent almost a decade creating the Mental Vitamins program, where we help you become aware of the habits, beliefs, and values and fears that are holding you back from achieving what you want in your life, and then aligning those, creating new habits, aligning the values, overcoming limiting beliefs, and dealing with any fears, worries, or doubts that are stopping you, holding you back. But who believes up until now you've had habits, beliefs, values, or fears that were stopping you or holding you back from achieving your full potential? By show of hands. In fact, if you guys want, there is a webinar you can find it. Write down Mental Vitamins. There is a 1-hour recording of the webinar I did last year on the Mental Vitamins, which explains the process a lot more in depth. And anyone we work with, we take them through the Mental Vitamins program. It's a self-realization process where you ask yourself certain questions, and at first a little scary, because you get to learn a bit about, what's going on in your mind. But I think it's really important to know how you tick. So first things first is we're up to the next step. So know your why, manifest, intensify your why. Work out your outcomes, step 2. Number 3, create a plan. Now, there's 3 types of plans. We need a mental plan for becoming an athlete of the mind. Again, we don't have enough time to go through that, but I will say that we can assist you and help you in creating that if that's something that you want to do. Now, as we've already determined and talked about, and many of you will understand that our coaches or experts in the field, that I can prove that our feelings and what we think will determine or influence our hormones. Now, we hear about how many people are suffering from depression, or those of you who are coaches, personal trainers, how many people are on antidepressants? So many people are on antidepressants. So, a little bit about cortisol. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone. That when we are overloaded in any way, shape, or form, it creates stress, unnecessary stress. We increase the level of cortisol produced, and it can slow down our metabolism. We can store more body fat, especially in the problem areas, and so forth. So, in the Burn More Fat While You're Sleeping webinar, I explain cortisol a bit more. Just quickly on cortisol. Cortisol is an important hormone in the body secreted by the adrenal glands and involved in proper glucose metabolism, regulation of blood pressure, insulin release for the blood, and sugar maintenance. The problem is that if we become overloaded, stressed in our work, in our relationships, we overtrain, it can lead to things like adrenal fatigue, it can lead to additional, it can decrease fat transportation in the mitochondria of the fat cell, and it can lead to excess storage of fat for men, especially around the midsection is a perfect example, and lack of sleep as well can cause this. I used to work with a baker and he was stuck on 130 kilos. I sent him to a hormone replacement therapist and his cortisol levels were through the roof because it had been over 20 years since he'd actually slept overnight. His sleeping patterns were all out. Sometimes he'd go 2 days without sleeping. So if you are working with anyone that is stuck and they do have sleep issues or a lot of stress in their life or their business or relationship, getting the cortisol levels is definitely worth a check. Is definitely worth a look. Okay, so the way we can deal with cortisol is making sure we take the time out for ourselves. In the coaching program, business coaching, we talk about bucket list items and travel. For those of you that aren't coaches, taking the time to do some yoga, some Pilates, some meditation, some visualization exercises. Just take some time out to relax. Go for a walk. So the first pillar is the mindset, is the psychological pillar. Now, in the 7 laws to weight loss, please watch that, because that's a brilliant webinar where I explain all this stuff. Between the 7 laws and the How to Burn More Fat While You Sleep, I spend a lot more time on all this stuff as well. So let's talk about the nutrition pillar. Now, it's interesting about nutrition. Now, I thought about this when I was preparing this. There's a lot of people out there that have different theories about nutrition, so I want to keep this pretty stock standard on, in a way that most people will agree upon. I think the biggest problem with nutrition and understanding, spending over a decade with neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, the quantum theorem, EFT, TFT, and some other psychological modalities, I've realized a few things about the psychology of nutrition, that we eat based on triggers and emotions. And you might be thinking, no, I don't do that, but we all do. We all do, whether we know it or not. Have you ever heard a song on the radio and it's reminded you of a past experience? Maybe with an ex-lover or something like that. you ever smelt some cooking and it reminds you of your mum's cooking or your grandparents or someone's cooking? As we experience, we're taking information through our 5 senses, and it's stored at the cellular level. Everything that happened, even when you're in the womb, developing, all those memories are still stored at the cellular level. So nutrition, the most important part, or the most powerful part of nutrition, is our mindset and psychology. And again, in the 7 Laws of Body Transformation, 7 Laws to Weight Loss webinar video you can find on YouTube, I explain it in depth. But just a little bit on nutrition. I think the biggest problem at the moment is that we spend a lot of time counting calories and focusing on macronutrients. For those that aren't coaches, macronutrients are proteins, carbs, and fats. Now, people say, well, to lose body fat, you just need to consume less calories than you burn, right? So you need to consume less calories than you. So if I use 2,000 calories a day and I consume 1,600, I'm going to lose body fat. But does that mean you're being healthy? The reason why you want to lose weight is to be healthy. You want to look good because you want to feel good. You want to feel good because of what it means for you. It's a health thing. So you can be lean, shredded, and be unhealthy. So focusing on a calorie deficit does not guarantee long-term health. So with nutrition, instead of focusing on counting calories, I like to focus on micronutrition, phytonutrients, micronutrients, the building blocks to maintaining homeostasis in a healthy body in an alkalizing state. For those of you that want to go all out, and there's a 4th webinar you can find online called How to Alkalize and Detoxify. How to Alkalize and Detoxify. If you want to find any of these webinars, let me know. They're all brilliant webinars, and I go through the detoxification process and the alkalizing process in depth. The other thing is that can you have a high protein, low carb diet and lose weight? Yes. Can you have a high fat diet and low carb diet and lose weight? No matter what composition you use of those 3 macronutrients, you can lose body fat if you use the calorie deficit. But again, does that mean you're being healthy? No. So we want to focus on stopping counting calories because that's not going to lead to long-term health. And we want to stop focusing on counting proteins, carbs, and fats, unless, of course, you're competing. I understand if you're competing, you need to do that. But for most people aren't competing. And how many people have hormone issues afterwards because of what they're doing? We want to be healthy. So instead of focusing on macronutrients, proteins, and carbs, and focusing on counting calories, focus on micronutrients. So you want to make sure you're consuming at least 7 to 9 cups of vegetables a day. I'm pretty sure there's not many people on the planet that would say no to that. 7 to 9 cups of vegetables a day, 1 or 2 serves of fruit. Some basics that I like to focus on, some might have some different opinions. We want to keep the gluten-free or low gluten, dairy-free or low dairy, and avoid processed foods. Avoid processed foods because the body doesn't recognize anything that's processed as real food. Now the problem is that milk, butters, all these processed foods, breads, they're not processed the same as they were 20 years ago. So the way that they're processing, think of things like GMOs and genetically modified food. How much of our vegetables, which we believe are healthy, are actually genetically modified now? So this is the thing. So become educated. Start taking time out, even if you're not a coach, to start looking into basic nutrition. Focus on cellular nutrition and focus on micro and phytonutrients. Now, if you're not consuming enough fruit and veg, there's a Juice Plus here. I'm not going to talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about that later. But if you're not consuming enough fruit and vegetables, especially vegetables, you're at much higher risk of heart disease, cancers, and other illnesses. So if we're not consuming 7 to 9, Juice Plus can help us for just $2.50 a day bridge that gap. So what about fluids? How much water do we drink? Well, how long is a piece of string? It really comes down to how much you're exercising, how active you are, your body weight, how much you're eating, and so forth. But I think it's pretty safe to say that if you're exercising regularly, that 2 to 3 liters a day minimum is a requirement. You know what? You might find that boring. You know what I really love? Fresh coconut water. Delicious. Avoid sodas, carbonated drinks of any kind. Anything carbonated, regardless of sugar or aspartame, will slow down digestion by up to 200 to 300%, which means it has 2 to 3 times longer to spend in your body to be absorbed and turned into fat. I know it's more technical than that for you coaches, but that's basically it. Again, coffees create acidity in the body and long term are not healthy. But if you're a coffee drinker, do your best to not avoid more than 1 a day. Teas, on the other hand, depending on the type of teas, a lot of the green teas and that can have the tannins in it and can have some caffeine in it. but you don't want to be, having too much caffeine for sure. So with your fluids, avoid the fruit juices, avoid the cordials, avoid all the carbonated stuff. Stick to mainly water, maybe some protein. We'll talk about that in a second. And coconut water is brilliant as well. Green smoothies. We post a lot of green smoothie recipes on our detox fan page. Massive fan of green smoothies. My favorite one is, kale, English spinach, cucumber, celery, and carrot. Is that everything? I think that's everything. I have one of those, pretty much the same one every day. A big liter of it. Absolutely love it. So stay away from the juices and all the other things during the week. Meats, fruit, and veg. We spoke about fruit and veg already. 7 to 9 cups of vegetables a day, which most people don't do. 95% to 97% of the world's population, billions of people, do not consume enough fruit and veg. Most health issues are caused not by bacteria or viruses. In fact, they say that 1 to 2% of illnesses, even cold and flus, are caused by bacteria and viruses. 98% of all illness is caused by nutrition and or mindset, the emotions that we experience and we spend time in due to the way we think. Something to think about. A little bit about supplements. I'm not a huge fan of supplements. I would definitely recommend staying away from thermogenics. Thermogenics are simply supplements that turn excess calories from food into heat and utilize them so that you'll burn more fat and use your existing body fat stores more readily and increases fat transportation. The things that I would say also as well is if you want to lose body fat, stay away from whey proteins or dairy-based proteins. Okay, I'm not going to get into the reasons why. You can see that in the other webinars. But I like to use the Juice Plus Complete Protein. It's a natural protein. It's raw vegan. It's a vegan protein. So your pea protein, your rice protein, your hemp proteins, they're the proteins you want to be using if you want to get lean. If you're a guy and want to bulk up, sure, hit the whey, hit the caseinate. Just understand over a long period of time that it can actually have adverse health effects. Just understand that. But don't even listen to everything I say. Do your own due diligence as well. We've already spoken about the calories and the macronutrients. Now, the next step we spoke about, the fourth step, is to have a plan. We need a mindset plan, and we need a meal plan. Who here by show of hands believes that with a specialized meal plan, personalized, tailored to your needs, would help you stick to eating the way you need to get the results you want? Who believes that that accountability would help them? Nobody. Oh, a couple of people. There they go. Okay. So once we have a plan, the next step is we want to track and monitor. So we have the why, number 1, outcomes, number 2. Remember what number 3 is? Then we want to have the plan, and then we want to track. We want to track and monitor everything. We use an application called MyFitnessPal, myfitnesspal.com. It's like Facebook in the way that it's a communal site where you can enter in all your food and your training, and you can graph everything. You can communicate. You can have friends on there, and you can all see each other's trackers and diaries on there. It's a great way to keep each other accountable. You really want to monitor your results and monitor your progress in there. Check out MyFitnessPal, a brilliant app. You can use it on your iPhone or iPad. You can also log into the website and create your account for free on there. Just quickly, the 4 main hormones. We've got about 10 minutes, 15 minutes left, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. The 4 main hormones with nutrition. The first one is leptin. Leptin's a protein that's made in the fat cells, circulates in the bloodstream, and goes to the brain. Leptin is the way your fat cells tell your brain that your energy thermostat is set right and you no longer require food. You no longer require food. So if your leptin levels are low, and again, I talk about this quite in depth in the Burn More Fat While You're Sleeping webinar. I talk a lot more in depth about the 7 big hormones. That whole webinar is based on the 7 big hormones. If you're not producing enough leptin to signal to the brain that you're no longer hungry, you're just going to keep eating. But what I want to talk about is to optimize your leptin levels, just like we spoke, to optimize cortisol levels, we want meditation, we want some time out, relaxation, bucket list, we want time out, yeah? To optimize our leptin levels, we want to eat more frequently with smaller portions. Now, I know there's a lot of different theories out there with eat this amount or that amount, but this is the thing. I'm very open-minded. No one meal plan works for everyone. No one fitness plan works for everyone. You need to find out what works for you. Whether it's every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every 4 hours, it's different for each person. But there's no denying that, when the body gets in the habit of understanding that we're going to consume energy on a regular basis, it utilizes it rather than stores it and uses it for later. Now, it's a lot deeper and technical than that, but you know, if you're eating 2 or 3 times a day, there's no denying, and most people will agree that you're not eating frequently enough. You know, if you're eating 5 or 6 portions a day as a starting point, of course, it needs to be more personalized. You need to speak to an expert about it. That's a great starting point. The next big hormone is ghrelin. Now, some of these, for some of you, it might be jargon. That's why I'm keeping it very basic. So basically, ghrelin. When you're hungry or think about food, your gut releases ghrelin. It's released in the stomach. This ghrelin acts as a messenger and goes to the hypothalamus in the brain, which increases your appetite and decreases your metabolic burn. Now, if you have overactive production of ghrelin, guess what? You're going to spend a lot of time hungry. The way we deal with ghrelin is eating natural foods. The problem is that when we eat a lot of processed foods and ghrelin is released and there's signals sent to the brain, to the hypothalamus, and the neuropeptides are released and entered into the bloodstream and into the cells, is that the brain doesn't recognize the processed foods, these ingredients, as real food. So the problem is that the ghrelin is still being released, the brain still thinks you're hungry and it wants more food. That's why if you eat a lot of processed foods, obviously you're going to want to keep eating a lot more. So you want to focus on natural foods, fruits, vegetables, if you eat meat, natural organic meats, nuts, seeds, etc. You want to stick to those foods. In fact, for nutrition, I normally suggest, in the morning, have something quite lean. In fact, I normally have a green smoothie for breakfast. Your meals should be meat and veg or meat and salad. And the in-betweens, you can have nuts, seeds, and some fruit and veg. You might have a protein shake or 2 throughout. And you want to focus on real wholesome foods. The third one most of you would have heard of is insulin. Now, insulin is a hormone that has profound effects on metabolism because there's such rapid increases and decreases as opposed to all the other main hormones, the big 7. Insulin causes cells in the liver, muscle, and fat tissue to take up glucose from the blood, storing it as glycogen in the liver and muscle, and stopping use of fat as an energy source. So essentially, when we eat sugars, like there's monosaccharides and disaccharides, or complex carbs and simple carbs, depending on which composition or which chains of carbohydrates we eat, we consume it. It's broken down into simple sugars, one way or the other, and depending on the makeup of those simple sugars, the insulin will be produced by the pancreas. Now, the more simple sugars that need to be digested, the more insulin produced, and we get this massive spike. Now, the more insulin is produced and the bigger that spike, the lower your blood sugar will become afterwards. So if you eat a kilo of pasta before you go to bed or a massive bar of chocolate, you wake up in the morning hungry, that is why. Now, the problem is that when we get rapid increases and decreases in insulin or blood sugar, or blood sugar, this really plays havoc on the metabolism and it can lead to increases, decreases, influx in metabolism, and over time could cause us to store more body fat because of these rapid increase and decrease in insulin. So a solution to regulate your blood sugar and insulin production, we want to consume less foods that create massive influxes in insulin spikes and blood sugar to keep our leptin levels optimal also. Okay. Again, you can watch the video for more information about these on how to burn more fat while sleeping. The fourth one is thyroxine. Thyroxine is made by your thyroid gland, a butterfly-shaped gland in your neck. Yeah? Thyroxine is critical for the function of your body because it regulates the metabolism. You hear a lot of people talking about their thyroid issues. Oh, well, I'm overweight because of my thyroid. No, your thyroid's out because you're overweight. Your metabolism, as we know, is a measurement of how much energy the different tissues in your body burn. The higher your metabolism, the more you're going to burn. A solution to maintain and to increase, to modulate, because you don't want to decrease or increases actually, you want to keep it regulated, is to eat more foods that are high in iodine. This is also very, very good for the brain, like seaweed, sea vegetables, pink salt, rock salt, Himalayan salt, cranberry, strawberries, and organic navy beans. Again, we talk more about that in that other webinar. Okay, so we've got the 2 pillars so far, the mindset, the psychological pillar, and also nutrition. Let's talk a little bit about fitness. It's going to be about 5 minutes, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. Who's finding this interesting by show of hands anyway, by the way? You guys finding this interesting? I have to keep it simple enough for people that haven't been exposed to anything and technical enough for those of you coaches that aren't like, oh, this is boring. So hopefully I'm fulfilling that intention. So let's talk a little bit about cardio versus weights. So weights versus cardio, frequency and intensity. As a basic rule, and some people might agree or disagree, If you believe you have more than 10 kilos of body fat to lose, your primary focus will be cardio. If you have less than 10 kilos of body fat to lose, your primary focus will be weights. Again, the whole focus here is we want a third plan. You want a meal plan, you want a mindset plan, and you want a fitness plan. Without these three plans, and without tracking and monitoring, you cannot guarantee your results. We've got the motivation, we've got the why, we know our outcomes, we now have the plans to bridge the gap, and we're tracking and monitoring to ensure we're getting results, and when we're not getting results, we can pinpoint them, see we're not getting them, and make the changes. And that brings us to the final step. The final step is accountability. You need to have someone to keep you accountable, people to keep you accountable, a Facebook group, a personal trainer, a nutritionist, a life coach, an online personal trainer, somebody to keep you accountable to sticking to the plan. If I could give you a world-class meal plan, fitness plan, you could go off. That doesn't guarantee results. What guarantees your results is keeping you accountable to sticking to the plan, motivating you, making sure you're tracking and monitoring so when things don't go to plan, we can make the necessary changes. And the way we track and monitor that, member, is through MyFitnessPal. I'm not going to spend a heck of a lot of time here on the cardio and weights because we have done a little bit over time. And I want to wrap this up. Let's talk quickly about the two biggest hormones that are influenced by training. The first one is testosterone, and both men and women have testosterone. And even though this might not be relevant, I thought it was a bit funny, so I'll put it in. Testosterone is an androgen, which is a male hormone. It helps sperm production in men, as well as causing and maintaining secondary male sex characteristics such as growth of facial hair, deepening of the voice of boys during puberty, etc. While testosterone is generally considered a male hormone, the ovaries in women also produce a small amount of testosterone. Women produce about 5% the amount of testosterone as men, and men produce about 5% the amount of estrogen as women. So they're both known as the sex hormone, testosterone for men, obviously, and estrogen for women, which helps female sexual desire and the maintenance of healthy bones and muscle development. Peak testosterone levels of a natural amount are very important in women, as they are in men. The key to keeping those optimal for both women and men is to make sure you're doing the heavier weights. There's three types of muscle growth for those of you coaches. You've got your fiber thickening through your heavier weights. You break down the muscle fibers, they grow back thicker and stronger. You've got your vascularization and your capillarization. You force blood into the muscle and it forms new capillaries, etc. And then you've got glycogen retention. It's something called fake muscle growth. So we want to make sure we're getting the heavy training and the strength training. And women, you will not bulk up doing heavy weights. Not if you're not taking testosterone. I'm going to guess most of you aren't. So the solution here is to train heavier and train with a spotter. Even the women, don't be afraid to train heavy. Focus on compound movements, which are used more than one joint, and multiple joint movements. Deadlift, squats, bench press are 3 examples. And monitor your strength gain and progression using MyFitnessPal. The other hormone is growth hormone. Growth hormone is a protein hormone of about 190 amino acids that's synthesized and secreted by cells in the anterior pituitary, in the brain. It's a major participant in control of several complex processes, including growth and metabolism. Growth hormone, especially for men, is brilliant for increasing muscle mass and decreasing body fat, and directly can increase metabolism. To increase growth hormone and get natural increases in growth hormone for both men and women, especially men, HIIT training or interval training is a brilliant way to train. If you have any questions about HIIT training, just let me know, but essentially it's a type of sprint training. And the final step in all of this is to reward yourself. The final step is to reward yourself. So you know your why, you've manifested and intensified your why. You've become clear on your outcomes and what you want to achieve. You've created the plan. You started tracking and monitoring everything. You've got somebody or people to keep you accountable. Now we want to make sure you're setting rewards for yourself, not with food. You've probably heard the saying, not a dog, don't reward yourself with food. Once a week you want to have a treat because you feel like having Maltesers, chocolate, go for it. I love chocolate. I love wine and ice cream. I'm going to have that stuff. But I understand that, I need to eat healthy the bulk of the time and I need to exercise regularly and so forth. So there's something known as micro and macro cycles, and this is really important for your coaches as well. Say, for example, we need to set targets every month. If you want to lose 12 kilos in 12 weeks, we have microcycles and macro cycles. So the macro cycle is a 12-week cycle, the micro cycle is a 4-week cycle. Each 4-week period, let's say we want to do a weigh-in, and the target is to lose 4 kilos a month. We want to lose 4 kilos a month. We want to turn that into a positive statement, so we'd work out the weights 4-week mark, 8-week mark, 12-week mark. For the 4-week mark, you set yourself a target with your trainer or whoever's keeping you accountable, your online personal trainer. And you say, well, if I achieve this target of losing these 4 kilos, whatever that weight is, then I get to celebrate this way and reward myself this way. Now, the person that is going through the process or journey must choose the rewards because it must excite them. Start off with a smaller reward. So for a female, it might be a pedicure to start with. 8-week mark might be a massage, and the 3rd month, 12 weeks, might be like a trip to Bali or Thailand. These rewards work very, very well for keeping you focused and keeping you motivated. I know a lot of coaches and personal trainers don't use this system effectively, but I've used this for a long time, and it is a brilliant strategy. I guarantee that when you use this step-by-step process, you're going to get incredible results. So, first of all, we want to understand our why. Second of all, we want to get clear on our outcomes. Third of all, we want to have our plans. We have 3 plans: fitness, nutrition, mindset plans. Fourth, we want to start tracking and monitoring everything. Fifth, we want to have someone or people keep us accountable. 6, we want to have our reward systems in place. The hands up who believes if you were to implement those steps, that you're much more likely to not just get the change you want, but to keep those changes, by show of hands. I just want to take this opportunity to say, just 2 more minutes before you finish up, I just want to say thank you so much everyone for joining us this evening. And for those of you that want the edge, those of you that really want to lose 10 kilos in the next 8 weeks, using this as a starting point. But where do you start? You really want to have someone keep you accountable. Why is it so important for you to lose the 8 kilos, 9 kilos, 10 kilos, 20 kilos? Why is it so important for you? What would it really mean for you to lose that weight? Let me ask you a question. How would you feel if in 3 months' time you were still exactly where you are now? How would you feel about that? But how would you feel if you had the right support, the right guidance, you took the action, you had the accountability, you did the tracking, the reward system, and you did achieve it? How would you feel about that? Now, if you keep doing what you have been doing up until now, do you think that's guaranteed to happen? Probably not, right? So how do you think having someone keep you accountable, or an actual system, or a program that focuses on these steps? These are the steps I used to lose 27 kilos in 26 weeks. And what I did is I took these steps and I created the 8-week Body Blitz. Now, the 8-week Body Blitz is an 8-week transformation program that doesn't just focus on nutrition and fitness. It also focuses on mindset. So we don't just help you with nutrition plans, meal plans, shopping lists, recipes. We also help you with fitness plans, an exercise library, and you get all that, whether you're training at the home, at gym, or outside. There's plans for you. And also we have the full mental vitamins program, how to become an athlete of the mind, how to overcome self-sabotage habit and beliefs, overcome fears and doubts, reframe limiting beliefs, align incongruent values, and change those habits and achieve what you want. Why is this so important to you? The 8-week Body Blitz is launching next week. And I'm just going to grab it here. The 8-week Body Blitz launches next week. We're all starting together in a group next Monday. And for those of you that would like an edge, the 8-week Body Blitz, you get all your meal plans. Just going to pause that, my apologies. This is what you get in the 8-week Body Blitz. Just a couple of testimonials. This is Patricia here. We helped her lose 30 kilos it was less than 4 months. So with Patricia here, she'll be able to see my screen. You've seen my before and after. This is Nathan here. He lost 8 kilos in 8 weeks. You can see the difference there in the photos. We've got a whole heap of testimonials, people that we've worked with. Now, with the 8-week Body Blitz, the way it works is if you want to get into contact with the person that invited you to tonight's webinar, they will direct you where to get the 8-week Body Blitz from. It's just $69 for the entire 8-week program. Now, before you go, this is what you get in the 8-week Body Blitz. The first week is a 7-day raw detox, which is another one of our programs, which sells itself $49. You get that for free. And you get all your shopping lists, all your recipes, you get the meal planners, you get all the video tutorials and the setup added to the VIP group. We do a 7-day detox. Most people lose 3 to 5 kilos in their first week on the 7-day detox. It's a raw, vegan, whole food eating plan for 7 days, and that's how we kickstart it. Also in 8-week Body Blitz, you get all your meal plans for the 8 weeks. You get the recipe library with heaps of really delicious recipes. All your fitness programs, including the exercise video library with every exercise, how it works. You get accountability. Every week we'll be doing a webinar which is recorded, which you can attend for accountability. The next steps, how to set up your shopping list, your meal planners, your fitness plans, and there's fitness plans and meal plans set up for all types of, for all 12 types of genders. There's 2 genders, all weight classes, all results focuses. Whether you're training at home or at the gym or outdoors, there's training programs for you. Whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, there's meal plans for you, and all the recipes and everything as well. We use MyFitnessPal and we track that. You also get access to our online health retreat and our VIP group, which will have daily communication with all the other people going through the program. Again, we want to get everybody secured and locked in by tomorrow. And over the weekend, we'll set you up with all your shopping lists, your fitness plans and everything. We start on Monday next week. Just $69. You can see here it's only $69. I'm sure you'll agree that's a ridiculous price to be a part of a great program over the next 8 weeks run by my partner Kaylee and myself. We'll be working with you to keep you accountable on a daily and weekly basis and do everything in our power to help you lose that 10 kilos. But by a show of hands, who would like to find out more or would like to get into contact with the person who sent you to this webinar to do the 8-week Body Blitz? For those of you that aren't yet Facebook friends with me and you want any further questions, you can join me here, Jason Grossman. Send me a friend request, shoot me a message. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Again, 1 hour is not a long period of time. I really appreciate you guys showing up tonight. I hope you can hear the enthusiasm, passion in my voice. I love helping people, not just with weight loss, but achieve whatever your dreams are in your life. Finances, relationships, health. And that's my true passion. I really hope that you take action now and instead of sitting around, become disturbed with where you are. Take action, get in touch with either myself or the person who invited you tonight, and I look forward to each and every one of you joining us in the 8-week Body Blitz next week. This will be available in the next 7 to 14 days for recording, and you will get a copy. Any questions, please let me know. Contact me or the person that sent you to the webinar. Thanks so much, and until next time, I'll speak to you then.